Crossed extension reflex, a spinal reflex elicited by application of a noxious stimulus distally to an extremity fixed in extension, commonly the foot, with the patient supine. The response is, for the opposing extremity, to flex, then adduct and extend. The crossed extension reflex is a withdrawal reflex. When the reflex occurs, the flexors in the withdrawing limb contract and the extensors relax, while in the other limb, the opposite occurs. An example of this is when a person steps on a tack. The leg that steps on the tack pulls away, while the other leg takes the weight of the entire body. Here's an example. The crossed extensor reflex is contralateral, meaning the reflex occurs on the opposite side of the body from the stimulus. To produce this reflex, branches of the afferent nerve fibers cross from the stimulated or ipsilateral side of the body to the contralateral side of the spinal cord. There, they synapse with interneurons, which in turn excite or inhibit motor neurons to the muscle of the contralateral limb. In the ipsilateral or inhibitory leg, the flexor muscles contract and the extensor muscles relax to lift the leg from the ground. The ipsilateral leg would be antagonistic to the contralateral. On the contralateral or excitable side, the flexors relax and the extensors contract to stiffen the leg, since it must suddenly support the entire weight of the body. At the same time, signals travel up the spinal cord and cause contraction of the contralateral muscles of the hip and abdomen to shift the body's center of gravity over the extended leg. In this picture, the green represents the extensor inhibited, the yellow arrow represents the flexor stimulated, the blue arrow represents the extensor stimulated, and the red arrow represents the flexors inhibited. All of these travel up to the spinal cord. When the pain receptor signal reach the inner neuron, there is a fast signal to the motor neuron to move the body part away from the source of pain. Here we will take a closer look at the spinal cord. The blue arrow represents the inhibitory neuron. The black arrow represents the interneuron that is excitatory, and the green arrow represents motor neurons that will travel to other segments of the spinal cord. Together they produce positive feedback that innervates with the motor neuron. The red and blue arrows are headed towards the extensors and flexors. The pseudounipolar neuron is a sensory neuron in the peripheral nervous system. It contains an axon that has split into two branches, one of the periphery and the other to the spinal cord. The dorsal root ganglia of the spinal cord sends projections and makes synapses directly on motor neurons that innervate the same muscle. Crossed extension reflex is considered polysynaptic because it has more than two synapses in the spinal cord. Thank you for watching.